So imagine you just got a box and out came your very first camera. Boom, it's here, you're super excited, but what are the first logical steps that you should take to actually learn what these cameras are capable of? Because guys, it took me over 2 years to figure out what some of the functions inside of these cameras actually did. I would not make use of them. So you should definitely not take that long. So in this video, I'm gonna give you guys 3 tips to better understand your camera. And towards the end of the video, I'm gonna tell you guys my 3 favorite options or settings that cameras usually have that help you take better photos. So let's get right into it. If you don't instinctively and rapidly know how to change aperture, shutter speed, and ISO on your camera, whether it's your phone or a bigger camera, that is exactly where you need to start. This is because a camera's job is to capture the light and spit out a photo that you envisioned when you hit click. Because it has to do with light, those 3 settings are gonna be crucial for you to understand, because all the other settings are mainly like supporting cast to the main actors, which again are shutter speed, ISO, and aperture. So let me show you my camera's menu, but also talk about the first buttons that I identified when I got the camera, which was the big dial right here in the front. There is also another one up here in the back, and then there's the spinny wheel right here. Right off the bat though, the default settings usually are to map those main 3 options onto these prominent dials, just because they're so easy to like move. But for example, if you don't have like the front dial, or if you don't have the back spinny wheel, or if you're on the phone, it does not matter. Just figure out which button you have to press to change each one of those 3 settings. Because again, if you don't have that dialed in as the base of knowledge from the very beginning, all the other options on your camera are still not gonna help enough, because again, the starting point is just off. So figure it out, memorize it, and practice by taking a ton of photos. What you guys should do first is change it to full manual. That way you guys can control all of the settings by yourself. I can't find my mic. Oh wait, it's over here. I should probably address why it looks like I went full on Wolverine on my backdrop. The thing is, I bought it used and it was only used up from like one side and the other side was like brand new. But anyways, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, you can see the main settings that I keep blabbering about are right there. So let's start off with ISO, which in short, it is light sensitivity to the sensor. It should be your 3rd setting that you manipulate, because if you increase it way too much, there's gonna be noise and the quality is gonna be kind of iffy. Just as an example, I'm going to increase it and I'm gonna get out of the frame because it's just gonna be blown out. Check this out. Whoa, that is super bright. Okay, let's tone it down, let's bring it back. Now I just set this camera at the lowest ISO because I want to increase my aperture, which in short, aperture just opens up the blades of the lens and it increases the depth of field and also the light going in. I brought the ISO all the way down because I'm about to open the floodgates, I guess, and just let all the light into this camera. So now I'm moving my front dial, which is again my aperture. I'm gonna make it all the way to 1.4. It's like a teeter-totter, just balancing between the 3. Now the final one is shutter speed, so let's manipulate that one. And making the shutter speed faster is gonna let less light in, and making it slower is gonna allow for more light to go in. So it's set to my back dial, so look, I'm gonna make it faster. This is 1/320th of a second, way too dark, right? If we go the opposite way, make it slower, this is 1/15th, 1/13th of a second. It's just letting way too much light in. So again, changing these settings is more dependent on like where you are and what you want to shoot. So now that we covered that, let's move on to tip number 2 and more of the secondary things that you should know of your camera. Now wait, don't click away telling yourself, come on, this guy's telling me to read the manual, like I could have thought of that. But no, I speak from experience. You guys have to read the menu, go through it with the intent to learn the things that you don't understand. Because it took me forever to actually research what seemed obscure, like an obscure setting on page number 13 that I was like, oh, it's not that important. Like, come on. Cameras are advanced pieces of technology in a good way though, because even though they seem complicated, and I mean, they can be complicated because it took me forever to learn some stuff, but that was my own fault and you should not do that. So let's go through the menu. I'll point out some of the settings that I used to never use, but now I kind of rely on a lot when I'm out shooting. So let's pull up my tricky Sony menu. So here we go. First things first, identify what the top categories are. So up top, number one, the little camera number one is more photo based. Camera number two is more movie based, more video. Then you can go into the folders and remember that up top, there's the subcategory or what the folder is made of. But my main piece of advice is to take it slow and steady and just work your way through one by one. So point number one, in the very beginning, I used to always shoot in JPEG. Reason why this is not good is because RAW is going to give you more information. So if something is way too dark, you can brighten it and bring back the details better in RAW versus in JPEG. Drive mode means like if you want to shoot once, for example here, if I put it to high because I want to capture some like animal or whatever, I have it in high, so I can just press down the shutter and it'll just go like take away like that. So you want to know how to change that, because again, if you don't know, then you would just be one by one, and that's not good if you really need the fast shooting. Now, when it comes to autofocus, I used to never change the focus area because I used to always have it in zone, and I still do. But if, for example, I really want to focus in on like the middle part of the image, then you can change it to like flexible spot, or there's like other ones right here. But if I put flexible spot, I can even change it to large, small, and medium. So I could put small, so you see the little like right there in the middle. So that way, whatever you actually aim it at, that is exactly what is going to be in focus. Because for example, if I had it in zone and I have my mouse here and then my finger here, it's like no, I wanted to focus on the mouse, but it won't do it. And it's just like, it can be a bit trickier. The focusing systems are really great. So I'm not saying you're going to struggle a lot, but it's good to know that you can change it to flexible spot just in like 3 seconds. Now, this is the latest thing that I just started using when I shoot videos, which is actually picking a creative style versus keeping it in standard. Look at the difference between vivid and standard. It's a bit more like flat, but I like to keep it in deep. So pretty much every camera and phone has a creative style and sort of color science filter that it applies to the image when you're taking it. So it's obviously going to boost it right away versus you having to manipulate it and do some color grading, which is a lot of work, especially if you don't really have experience doing that. So now we're in the video settings. Folder number 6, the zebra setting, that is one that I'm using a lot, because if you're manually exposing your video, you want things to be bright enough, but you don't want to clip or make things way too bright to where it just ruins anything coming into the camera because you can't see the detail in that brightness. So as you can see on the left, that's how it's going to appear. You can make it so that it tells you if an area is above 95, above 100. I actually have it at custom and I have it above 107 and let me know like, yo, it's way too bright. Like that part of the image is going to be ruined. The zebra setting paired up with your histogram, you want like a mountain. You see the peak on the right side right here? That's this right here. So you can manually move the ISO. And last but not least, a lot of cameras have custom buttons that you can map to different things. So here, again, I have my control wheel to be the ISO. Custom button number 1 is this one right here, C1. You see the original movie button to start recording is in here, which is kind of awkward, right? So I have it so that it's C1. And that way I can easily just hit the button and start recording quickly instead of with my thumb kind of like getting in there. So that was the internal menu. So spend a little bit of time studying now so that you can make life easier for you in the future and you could take some awesome photos. So let's move on to the last tip and tip number 3, and let's wrap this up. And the last tip is to let your camera handle some of the work, because while it's a good idea to go manual and learn everything, have a good grasp of all that information that we just went through, it's a good idea to know when to specifically change a certain setting. So you can use these modes. So M is for manual, but S will let you only change shutter speed and the camera changes the other settings to properly expose. Same goes for aperture, and P is for program shift, so it automatically chooses the shutter speed and aperture for you. And then obviously full auto is like literally everything is done by the camera, which full auto is not bad at all, especially if it allows you to get the shot. But just remember that if you're trying to get more creative or go for a certain look that you saw online or somewhere, then just remember to change it to one of the other programs so that the camera can help you, but you can still be a little bit flexible and get the shot that you want. All right, so let me finish this off. You need to get into your settings this month, not this month, this week. You see, don't push it farther than this week, because then you're just gonna never do it. And trust me, you would be surprised at how many photographers, they don't really customize to the full extent their own cameras that they've owned for quite a while. So get into it. Let me know if you have any questions. This was a tough topic because, again, pretty much kind of straightforward. Get into your menu, explore, ask questions, look things up on Google. But it's a talk that we needed to have, and I'm glad I went through some of the basic stuff, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So like I mentioned earlier, I have an aperture video that I'm going to be linking down below if you just want to get into that topic a bit more. And if not, there's other videos that are in the channel and more videos to come, of course. So subscribe to the channel, leave a like, because that really helps me. It helps push the video and just overall the channel. I'll see you guys in that next video. Thanks for watching.